Hey Colin, thanks for joining us. Colin's got a company called 11 Consultancy, and I'm super pumped for you to join us today. And I'm looking forward to finding more about your company, but your life as well. So thanks so much for joining us.
No problem, mate. It's great to be here and really appreciate kind of having the opportunity to come on.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your time as well. Thank you so much. Now, can we dive into a little bit about what 11 is, and then I'd like to bounce back and find out how you came to build this consultancy and how it's helping people.
Right, yeah, it's a fair old story, really. Not a fair old story, but it's about kind of, it really encompasses my kind of journey from kind of growing up in London as a kind of first generation born to migrant parents, and all everything that looked like growing up in Thatcher's Britain at that time. A lot of adversity, and struggled academically at school, and so this was kind of left school little or no kind of real hope or kind of opportunity that I would do anything positive with my life. But thankfully, sport was my thing. I was kind of lucky enough to kind of get into a sport. It's called inline hockey, so it's like ice hockey but on inline skate.
Yeah, I used to play inline hockey.
And this was yeah. So that was the sport that kind of took me from this inner London kid who was kind of very shy and reserved and all these kind of other attributes when you're kind of marginalised into a leadership role. So 11 was the shirt that I wore for the majority of my career. I ended up playing for Great Britain and coaching and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, wow.
So when I went on the journey of kind of identifying what I wanted to do with my life, once I got to Australia and having several conversations with friends from not just the UK but friends I've met on my journey in like US and that, and I was like, well, I was doing like electrical alarms and CCTV access control, but I was over it and I wasn't that good at it either. So to be fair, and the more I sat and spoke to people, it was around, well, that's transferable, because I just always had that as an isolated thing that I did in my spare time of helping people and coaching and mentoring, and that was the catalyst for me to go on the journey. And this was like 7-8 years ago, and it's been the best thing I've done.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that story. I'd love to ask a couple of things there. So where did your parents migrate from?
So my parents are from a wonderful island in the Caribbean called Jamaica.
Yeah.
So it's one of those places that's got, especially here in Australia, it's got a lot of positive connotations around kind of, when I say that, so people are really like, oh wow, that's amazing, that's cool, yeah. Have you been there? I go, yeah. But in England at that time, it was a real kind of different perception, not just around Jamaicans, but anyone else from the Caribbean islands, Africa, India. So all the migrants that had come in like the late 50s and 60s to rebuild the country, as it were, after the war, because it was all part of the Commonwealth at that point.
Yeah. So
they were actually asked to come to Britain, to the motherland, as it were. So yeah, that's where they originate from.
God, so there's a lot of negative connotation. That must have been hard growing up, if that was just the energy around that.
Oh, it was immense. Yeah, really, it was kind of like, and I often say to a lot of people, often ask me kind of what was it like, and I say it was really tough. When I go back to London now, which I do probably every two years, a lot of the guys I kind of knew or grew up with in that inner city kind of area, not just kind of guys from my background, but anyone from that inner city environment. I'd say that 85% of those guys are either dead in prison or dependent on drugs. And that was just the society at the time. But even more so, if you're marginalised, the kind of opportunities to achieve. And like I said, I didn't have any academia kind of anything going for me. I mean, back then you were called thick, but as I got older, I realised it was dyslexic.
Yeah.
And and we have our challenges, but now there's different ways of kind of working with people, students, or anyone that's older to get around that and stuff like that. But yeah, so it was a really tough upbringing, that social exclusion and stuff like that. So yeah, but resilience is an amazing word, and for all that struggle, it's reaps its benefits for me.
Okay, thanks so much for sharing that insight into your life. I'm really interested in hearing what made you different. Like, why didn't you go down those other paths?
Yeah, and that's a question also I get asked a lot of the time, because I've never taken a drug in my life, I've never smoked in my life, and it was at that stage where everyone was getting into it, and that's a really powerful thing for me now, when I can actually, because I do some work in a high school now. So when students actually ask me, and I'm up front, and I say, yeah, it was everywhere. There was, I think, I don't know, there's a few friends I know that haven't, but yeah, I'm kind of one of those guys that, I don't know, I just thought it never was something that appealed to me. The temptation was there, and for me it was harder to step away from that group of guys that were doing that, because then you're orchestrated, you're kind of called this, you're called that, you're scared of this, that, the other. So thankfully it kind of married in time with my sporting exploits. That's when I transitioned into that, and I went into an environment where everyone was kind of wanted to be fitter, wanted to be faster, wanted to be better, and wanted to win.
Yeah.
So it was a really cool environment, and it was a really positive environment for me to be around.
Yeah. Was that, so you must have had some positive influence in your life. Was that your parents, or was there someone else that comes to mind?
Yeah, I think, the positive of my parents, because again, they were coming from an island where it was kind of like, I don't know, their parenting would be different from the way they kind of could parent in the UK. So they struggled with the fact that they couldn't discipline us the way they wanted to. My dad was very old school. He didn't have that kind of loving, warming kind of stuff. But as I got older, I understood that his upbringing must have been a real tough one for him not to be able to show that emotion to his kids. But the one thing that they did kind of give us all my brothers and sisters, was that consistency of the way we should behave, the way they went to work every day, their kind of thoughts around kind of getting into trouble with the police, all these normal things that we kind of, it's lost in a lot of society now, but they instilled a lot of that in us. But I think the main kind of driver for me was a man called Eddie Joseph. So he was the man that was kind of the coach of this team that I went into, and he was like, you've definitely got something, just stick with it, and you're gonna, make your way into the senior team and all that kind of stuff. And I don't even know if he kind of realizes the impact and the trajectory that he kind of set me on. But he was definitely the guy that kind of was probably one of the first times anyone had ever said you're good at something. And we know, if you've got kids, and as I've had, I'm sure you may have kids, when you tell them that and they're being in places, it's just an amazing thing for someone to hear.
Yeah, I'm constantly trying to remember to tell my kids, and it would be every second day, that I'm proud of them, and I'm so happy with them, and I love them, and I always show that emotion. I think it's so important. So when did you start? Just back on this, because I'm so excited about these, that you've come from this adversity and you've become the person you are today. So there's some lessons here to be learnt, I think, and I'm trying to extract them. So with what age did you start inline hockey?
I was probably about 14 or 15, really, because football was my love. The round ball game in the UK, that was the thing that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a footballer.
Yeah.
But my parents didn't, like now I've got my kids, and, and one thing I do say to them, they're a bit older now, that I could have went to 2 of their netball games and I would surpass what my parents actually did for me, supporting me in my kind of sporting exploits. And that's so important, that if you've got the backing of your parents if you play good, bad and indifferent, to kind of drive you, to take you, to invest that time in you. So I didn't have that. So it was just through kind of groups and a couple of good friends that I had at the time were involved in this. They said, come along, and I went along, and that was the start. That was the real start for me to kind of getting my voice, as it were.
Yeah, that's awesome. I started inline hockey when I was about 11 or 10, and then I finished probably when I was 14. So I didn't get into it to the extent that you would have got bloody awesome, but I remember how fast and energetic and exciting that sport was. It was super cool to be a part of that, have that experience. So with the drugs side of things, because I think if we can get a better understanding around this, I think they're everywhere now as well. And I'm thinking of ways of how do we educate our kids and put them around positive influences so that they don't go down that route like you. And were the drugs around before the inline hockey, or was there?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. For sure, there was kind of, from like the age of like 9 and 10, it was on my estate because I lived in one of these kind of social housing type places in concrete jungle type places.
Yeah.
So it was everywhere. It was everywhere. And like I said, I think the fact that my parents were quite strict around that stuff and the fear of them finding out and the fear of them coming down hard on me and kind of giving us a backhand and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That was the fear. And I think also the fear of kind of police, because at that time also the police were a reflection of society, and society at that time wasn't as kind of appreciative or understanding of diversity.
Yeah.
So you can imagine if someone's got views around a certain race and they're in the police force, and these times it wasn't kind of, everything wasn't filmed on camera and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, many people that were kind of taken into custody and admitted to stuff and end up doing 4 months, 5 months, a year in young offenders institutions.
Yeah.
And the change that I saw and the trajectory that they went on after that was, they end up lifelong criminals, mental health issues, all these kinds of things through this regime at the time. So I think a lot of it is around having parents, whilst they wasn't the most loving and understanding around what we were going through, but they gave us a discipline and an understanding of respect for the law and respect for yourself. And this is what I say to young people now in the work I do at a school. It's around the choices that you make are so important. Your friendship groups are so important. Even in, guys who are like 25, 30, 35, that there's still the temptations out there. Guys that are in the trades, you go for a beer after work and then someone's pulling something out, and, if you're an apprentice, you feel like you're obliged to, because you don't want to be seen as the guy that's not doing it. So it's around that inner strength. And if you look at people's background and where they're kind of, what their families are like, and if it's historical kind of not great parenting, then you can understand why some young people are trying this stuff.
Yeah. Because
sometimes it's a way of connecting with a group. They don't get it at home. Mum and dad are in that prison, or they're not around. If mum's there, dad's not there. Sometimes it's this friendship group. Well, it seems like a friendship group at the time. They bring you in, and then before you know it, you're on this stuff. You're addicted to it, and a cycle is beginning. You lose your job. It all starts to fall apart. So it's really about us as adults who are in these roles of supervisors or with or have got apprentices, or in any area that you come to contact with young people. It's just that reaffirming of good decisions, your friendship groups, and just kind of being the best version of yourself. But it's a process of constantly doing that, constantly kind of just putting those nuggets of good stuff in there. And even like what I was saying before about tell them that they're good, finding out what their passions are, and finding how they can kind of link that with activities. If it's tiddlywinks, if it's surfing, if it's whatever, if it's reading books, whatever. And I use all this in the stuff I do with kind of mentoring older guys and girls as well. It's the same kind of skill sets, the same ideology that I believe that you tell someone that they're special, they are worth something. It can change someone's life quite easily.
Yeah, I read something this morning. It came through as an email, and it said 3 words that will change people's lives. You are important. And, it's so
powerful.
And it's just, I feel like us as leaders in the industry, like electrical industry, business owners, managers, all those sort of people that are managing staff or even teams, like coaching a team or whatever it is, we really miss out on an opportunity to connect, like you're saying, like ask them about their surfing, ask them about their sport, ask them about what do you do outside of work. And a lot of the time it's very transactional, like you rock up at work, oh, today we're doing this job, this is what I want you to do, go do that, finish, we're going home. You stuffed up there, you stuffed up there, you stuffed up there. and there's no personal connection ever. So all this person's receiving from you is these negative vibes. And I totally hear where you're coming from. I think it's such a good point. What are you thinking on that, along those lines, in terms of team leaders and business owners with staff?
Yeah, and it's vital, you know. And like I said, I've been in Australia for like 14 years now, you know, and that transition of coming from London was kind of mind blowing when you kind of go into like a Coles store or a Woolies store, and no matter how insincere it was at the time when people were saying, "How are you going? How's your day?" Blah blah blah. You never got that in England. You never got that kind of customer service. When people were saying at the time, "God, it's not like it used to be." Something, God, if this is how it is now, what was it like before? How much better was it? But because it's about that investment in people as well, you know. So I do a lot of work for a cleaning company around and security company about kind of empowering their team, because there's so many jobs out there that we've got fantastic, worthwhile employees, but they're not valued. You know, if you're a business owner or you're a middle management and above in a big kind of law firm in St George's Terrace, the investment that they put into you is, you know, you get the company credit cards, you get the phone, you get to go on personal development stuff, and you know, and everyone's nice to you in the office because you're in this role as a leader. But if you're a cleaner or a security guard, the value is not put into you. So I spend a lot of time kind of working with these guys to motivate them around the great work that they're doing. So I'll give you for an instance. I do some work for Lakeside Junior Life. I do some consulting there, and I spent some time with the cleaners and the cleaning company about how can we get the best out of this team. And one of the things I did was bring in a friend of mine who's got a disability, and he's a wheelchair user. So he spoke to the guys around kind of how grateful he is for the work that they do, because, as he said, his nose is closest to the pan because he's in the wheelchair, and when he's going and doing his thing, and he appreciates it. He appreciates that every time he goes into any of the toilets, they're clean, that they're not odorous, and all these kind of things. And the guys left that room that day thinking, wow, we've never heard that. We've never heard someone who uses these facilities give us that value of what we do. And it's just about appreciating people. You don't always have to, and it's not all about the monetary. I was going to give you a rise. Yeah, okay,
yeah.
And with the downturn at the moment, that's not always achievable, but it's how you treat people, you know. It's kind of that sincerity around, how's your day going, you know? How is your uncle? I remember you saying to me last week that Uncle Johnny was going for an operation. How was that, you know? Have you got time for a coffee? You know, you know, all those small things. And what we're seeing now is we're getting like that 2 or 3% input. Impact, you know, they're doing a bit more. They're engaging with with some of the customers. If they ask something, they're more smiling. They're more kind of so. And I'm saying to these businesses that, so when it comes around to re-tendering or a contract base, you've got these kind of motivated staff. The kind of shopping centre are happy. The kind of the managers are happy because they're seeing these engaging whilst they're cleaners. But they're doing that 2 or 3% more. And I'm saying, if we could drive towards that 5%, you know, across the board. So if you've got like 14 staff on site at one time, they're all pushing like 3 and 5% extra. What they do, how much better does the centre look? What impact does that have on the customers that are coming in there? So it's far-reaching. It's not just about, okay, I'll give you $1 more a week, and like, okay, thanks. It's about kind of that personal touch, and I think we've lost our way a bit with that unappreciation of kind of people. I was in Bali last week, and you look at the humbleness of those guys that clean your rooms. You go into a shop, they open a door for you, and you know. Mm. And I said to my wife at the time, we was on the beach, and people walk up and down selling their trinkets. And I said to her, I bet a lot of Westerners come in and think, oh my God, those poor people, you know, oh, how can they cope? But it's their life. It's what they know. You know, they haven't got this commercialized kind of life that we have about kind of buy now, pay later, and kind of we need a bigger house, we need a bigger car. Why? I don't know, but we need to get one. You know, all this kind of stuff. They're kind of, and it resembles Jamaica in a way where the people are just kind of humble. They don't have much, but they kind of appreciate. And yes, they have their struggles, but I don't think there's as much mental health issues in these kind of countries, because that pressure of modern day living in not only Australia, America, Europe, it's kind of intense at the moment, so this is about people. That's my message.
I love so many things about what you just said. I'd love to jump into firstly the cleaners and then into the people in Bali and their happiness. Let's start with Bali actually, because and Jamaica, or all those sort of places where Westerners go there and they feel, oh, look at these poor people, they're on the street, they're selling rags and all this sort of stuff. But then you have an interaction with them and they can't stop smiling. I guarantee they're probably happier than 95% of the Westerners out there who have this high level of stress and, impact on their lives. And there's so much pressure to be a certain level in life and all that sort of stuff. And we can learn so much from the people in those countries. So definitely next time you're in one of those countries, just take it in and see what you can learn from them. And I think you'll come back a lot happier.
And I think it's really important to reflect as well, because, for Australia, for me, it's kind of like, it reminds me of obviously I wasn't there, but it kind of feels like how America was probably in the 30s and 40s, where you could go there and you could create and you could make something of yourself, and that's how Australia seemed to me when I first got here. It was like, oh, wow, there's so much opportunity here, and it's such an amazing place. And I think the thing that resounded with me was that would give you a go at attitude, regardless of your age, your background. At that stage, it was, if you haven't done anything before, they would give you a go, and if you messed up, that was fair enough. But it wasn't like an age thing. They didn't rule you out because of your age and all that kind of stuff. So that was really kind of exciting for me to be in a country where there were still opportunities, But the Bali thing and like I said, the Jamaica thing is quite interesting. I think that the ability for me to reflect on my life and my journey and my background, I think that's the thing that really kind of helps me do what I do, because I never get too far ahead of myself. I can sit there and just think, and every time I go to these places, because my thing now, I want to travel, I want to kind of see stuff, I want to kind of experience lots of things. And if I could have said to the 14-year-old me that by the time you get to the age I'm at now, you will have these experiences, you would have traveled, you would have done this, you'd be living in Australia, you'd have the ability to do lots of great things, I would have slapped myself around the face and said, don't be so ridiculous. There's no way someone from these inner city kind of areas can achieve stuff. So my mantra now is, if I can do it, I think anyone could do it. And it's not just about the huge success, about monetary success. It's about the kind of the quality of life. The quality of life that I've got now is insurpassable to my lifestyle growing up. And it's just, I'm truly blessed, and I will never forget that. It doesn't go from me. I still have that time to kind of look back and still got family back there, of course, and I can kind of just think, I'm so fortunate. Very, very fortunate. So thanks, Australia, for giving me the opportunities. It's truly
no, it's awesome. I'm so happy to hear that that's all come through your life, and it's credit to you though. Like, it's your personality, it's your habits, it's your things that you've done that have created that. And I'd like to explore those as well. So what we'll do is go to cleaner, come back to that, because you just said reflecting as well, and I want to go there as well. So let's go back to the cleaners, because there's a nice synergy here between electricians and cleaners, okay? So I've found over the 50 plus staff that I've hired that the electricians that I hire, they don't value their trade as much as they could. So they come into it thinking, I'm just an electrician. And even business owners I talk to and coach, I'm just an electrician. People don't want to hear from me on social media. People don't want to, they don't want me reaching out to them and asking them if they want electrical work. I'm just an electrician. I'm not worth much. Like that self-talk, that self-belief is damaging their ability to value their own service and put their prices up. Like, that's a big thing about Academy that we teach, is how to put your prices up and value yourself and understand that the things you're selling are valuable to people. And like you said, like cleaning the toilet is valuable to people, because if they wouldn't, there would be shit stains everywhere, right? When you go in there and it stinks. So credit to them.
but it's so true. And one of the things I say to people that have been in these jobs that are undervalued is like every time we turn up to a barbecue or a social event, if we're meeting friends out for drinks and there's kind of a new group there, one of the first things that gets asked, what do you do? You know, and then if someone says I'm in marketing, that harnesses the conversation. All right, I'm marketing. What do you do? Yeah, I work for a big kind of national company. We've got Adidas, Nike, Puma, or whatever, and everyone's engaged. And if you say, well, I'm just an electrician, not just I'm an electrician, the conversation generally just like,
okay, I'm going over here. Yeah.
And so my thing is like next time electrician, a bricklayer, or whatever, your introduction should be, tell me about what you do. So what does the day look like for you? So if you're in whatever trade and you're speaking to a chippy, ask him about what does his day look like. He says, actually, I was in this house and they've asked me to design this balustrade and blah, blah, blah. And you start digging down and getting the interest of what that person does. And the more someone starts speaking about what they do, you know, if you could just hold them from it and say, hold on a minute, you just told me all this kind of work that you do. You told me, and then you've gone into your experiences and how you learn on the old machines or using the old tools, and now you specialise in that because it's the kind of work you want to do. You don't want to be a roof chippy, you want to do that. And so that's the way to go, because once you say you're a chippy, the conversation ends. Yep. If you're a sparky, tell me about what you do. Well, I work in commercial, I do house stuff. I've now moved into the AV stuff or whatever. I'm looking at the IoT space and blah blah blah. And this is expansion of kind of people. The electrical trade is vast as it is wide. You know, there's so much in there. You know, kind of the understanding of people. We come in, we flip the light switch, and it goes on. You know, people don't understand how it all comes together. So it's about kind of selling what you do by saying, I'm not just an electrician, and the service that goes with that, because the service component to anything is immense. You know, gone, especially in Perth, the days are gone where we had everyone's on the mind, so any sparky could rock up, put a price down, and people would take it just to be thankful to someone turning up. Whereas now, you bolt on that customer service. You know, it's everything, isn't it? And I'm sure you know that your professionalism, the way you rock up, a timely manner. You know, are you returning calls? What's your invoicing like? Have you got kind of a nice head of paper? Are you set up? You know, have you got your computer? Have you got? Oh, I've never used that kind of stuff. Challenge yourself to get better at that. This is the way that it's doing. Do you turn up with your iPad or a device that can actually look the part? Because perception is kind of a big thing in everything. If you turn up looking the part, rather than the guy turn up with a pen behind his ear and a bit slovenly, and like, well, I'm here to look at your, I think it's your lights. I'm not. Hold on, look at me. I wrote it down somewhere. If you turn up, I'm here. Blah blah blah. I'm here to look at. It's about you as a person, and that's the thing that is lacking, because a lot of trade guys kind of get into trade because they don't feel they've got the personality to do anything else that requires them to use themselves.
Yeah, one of the,
you know, in the moment I thought, in
the moment you thought you carry on.
Yeah, and one of my things was the moment I kind of thought, I know I'm not stupid, I know I've got something, and the moment I kind of came to this realization that I could stop using my back to earn my living, I could start using my brain, you know, and then I combined the two for a while, and I was being successful in kind of, you know, and I think the success was around getting jobs, going for interviews and blowing everyone out of the water by doing simple things like researching the company and trying to look for real cool bits of information. So when I rocked up at the interview, I could say, yeah, well, I know you've got 4 branches around, blah, blah, blah. I know you've kind of had stuff done here, and one of your clients was this, that, the other. So I was able to get a lot more jobs. I still wasn't that very good at what I was doing, but I could get the jobs because I now knew how to talk to people. Yeah. So if you're good at what you do and you can talk to people, that's the catalyst.
Yeah. Like you made them feel important, you know. Now there's a couple of things here. Electricians, you save lives. If someone goes, what do you do? I save lives.
Yeah.
What do? I light people's lives. You know, you can really change the name. You don't have to say electrician. You can say, I light up people's lives. And they're like, oh, what do you mean you light up people's lives? And then you start that conversation. There should be a slogan that you create for your company or the things that you do. So create that, and that's how you introduce yourself from now on. And that's your point of difference. So it's totally worth doing that sort of stuff.
Sure.
Even coming back to the providing, like there's one product that we install. It's called an RCD, a residual current device, a safety switch. It cuts off the power before someone can get electrocuted long enough that it affects the heart. So it actually saves people's lives. But a lot of electricians struggle to sell that product for $250 or $300 or whatever they want to charge for it. Now, the question I asked to them and to the owners of the buildings is, if your partner or child or dog died tomorrow from electrocution, how much would you pay to bring that person, dog, kid back to life? And now we've suddenly got a price juxtaposition where you can see, oh my God, $250 is nothing compared to saving someone's life and what it means to someone. So we do need to value ourselves in whatever field we're in. And I think, you know, you brought up so many great points there. So thanks for sharing all those.
No worries.
So one other thing is jumping into what you said earlier about reflecting and your personal habits and the things that you've learnt over life that have helped you, you know, build 11, consulting, get to that point in life, create opportunity. Because yes, Australia has opportunity, but you've created it. You've come here. You did that. So what are the things that, you know, have enabled you to have this positive output in your life?
I think, like I said, it's just like when it comes back to not getting into drugs and all that. I think it's on my mum's side. I think for my mum, who had that kind of that empathetic way about her, you know, and I think that's come down to me. So I think I'm very kind of empathetic and kind of compassionate, and that just gives me the ability not to kind of, I don't know, just not to get ahead of myself, you know. So the ability to look back is something that a lot of people haven't got. And as an expat coming to Perth as well, and I can only speak about Perth because this is where I've lived. Yes, I've travelled to all the other states, but in the time I've been here, what I've seen is kind of people just lose their marbles. They come across from the UK, they may have sold a house at the right time or whatever, and they come over with some money and they build this wonderful house, you know, kind of afford to somewhere, and within 2 years they want to move because it's a bit pokey, because they've kind of bought into this lifestyle. And I always say that Perth is very seductive. You know, if you're coming from somewhere else, you're like, oh my God, this is fantastic, you know, like, and I always say, if someone would have given you that same house you're in on one of these housing estates, 4-2, brand new, if they would have given you that 4 years before you come here, you'd have ripped their right arm off for it. But no sooner do people get here, things change because they forget where they come from. They've forgotten the journey and some of the reasons why they decided to come here. No one just kind of decides, I'm going. It's a process. If you're kind of sponsored, it's a bit quicker. If you come over and skilled, it can take 2 years, depending if it's on the list or not. So it's those small foundations, you know. And another thing I hear is like, we came for the kids. Our thing was, we came for all of us. I wanted my kids to have a look at a different life, but I wanted to kind of give myself the opportunity to kind of go again, because in life you very rarely get the chance to go again, you know, kind of move, buy everything new fridge, new this, new area, new friends, new work, new car. It's very rare, you know. If you move to a different state, yeah, you can do that to a certain degree, but when you move to a different country, you've got different currencies, different laws, different regulations, all these kind of things. So it's a huge shift in your life. You know, with technology, it's not as far now because we can be in contact, but it's about not kind of forgetting the journey and the core values that you kind of adhere to about what's important to you. Is it family? Is it your kids? Is it your career? And a lot of people overlook themselves. You know, They're too busy worrying about everyone else, kids, wife, house, big car, or whatever. What about you? Are you happy? Are you kind of happy? Do you get up each day kind of feeling kind of, obviously not every day, but most days, do you get up with a feeling of gratitude to kind of where you are?
Yeah.
And I don't think most of us are. Especially, I don't speak from an expat because I've seen it a lot. People have overextended themselves in in search of this temple house or whatever it is. But then, like anything, it becomes a house.
Yeah.
A new car becomes a new car. And we all like nice things, but at what degree do we kind of put kind of lifestyle at risk to kind of get these kind of depreciating assets as they were, apart from the house, as it were? We kind of go out there and we try to create. Are we trying to buy happiness? Are we trying to fulfill ourselves by kind of having the biggest house and posting stuff back to the UK saying it's 39 degrees in Perth? We all know it's 39 degrees if we on their Facebook in Perth. So what they're trying to say to people in England, we're having an amazing lifestyle.
Yeah.
And they know it's summer here.
Look
so
at us.
It's this perception. It's this perception, but reflection is the key.
Yeah.
It really, there's a lot of things that people are now doing, kind of, they're meditating, they're doing this, they're doing that, which is all, everything's got their space. But the simplistic thing is just to reflect on the journey.
Yeah.
Look back where you've come from, whatever part of the world you live in or the country you live in. And if you can say to yourself that the lifestyle I've got now is far exceeded what I expected or what my trajectory was, there's your answer.
Yeah, awesome. So with that, is how and when do you reflect?
How and when? It varies. Sometimes I'll be out. I'll kind of be on at the gym. I'll take 5 minutes out and just think, who'd have thought this?
Yeah.
Who'd have thought that? If I'm out with friends and we've got a really good group of friends, and we spend a lot of time, because I think once you start going on the journey of, I don't know if it's discovery or whatever you want to call it, you generally start formulating a friendship group of like-minded people. And so the group I've got now, we spend a lot of time kind of just talking about this stuff, the journey and the importance of staying real. So it can happen anywhere. If I was meeting some friends for breakfast the other day, and I went on my bike down West Coast Highway, and it was just amazing, just cruising down there, just looking out on the world and thinking, wow. And that never changes for me. Every time I go down, I look to the right or the left, it will depend on where I'm driving. I'll look, and that little child inside me is like, wow, if I could have brought you to this and shown you this, and and it's just about saying, just hold on, it will be okay. So it's just about whatever. Like I said, I was at the airport going to Bali the other day again and thinking, wow, I'm getting on a plane again. It's just amazing, the ability to travel, to go on a holiday, and just to do the small things. So I think the small things around, if I was to say to anyone, what's the good things in life? They say, well, holidays and a big car. But I say it's stuff like being able to go and buy a bar of chocolate, having a coffee with your friends, having a pleasant discussion in a courtyard of a bar somewhere, having that time at home. You get home at 4, you've got time to flick on the TV, watch something. Those are the things, because people get wrapped up in chasing stuff, and you don't have the time to do those small detailed things, which are the foundations of happiness. You start doing the small things because, I'm too busy, I've got to get home, I've got to do a quote, I've got to do this, I've got the kids there, and you've got to find time to appreciate.
Yes.
Where we are.
I love that. Thanks so much for sharing. It's just whenever you get a chance, you're reflecting, like an opportunity to look back, see where you've come from, where you are today, the thing that you're doing now. 10 years ago I couldn't have done this. That sort of stuff. Or 15 years I couldn't have done this.
Right.
So yeah, totally.
Very much so.
And then and like what you're saying, people get stuck, and I totally relate with this as well. I'm a hyper focused type of person. I get stuck in this incredible focus on my work, and sometimes to the extent of all else. And so I have to regularly check myself, like, hold on, are you reflecting often enough? Because it's not until I start to reflect and try and bring myself, not looking into the future all the time, because usually when we're like, I've got to do that quote, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, it's in fear that whatever's not going to happen in the future, or you're not going to make your goal, or you're not going to get that big house, or you're not going to get that car. So that fear that if you don't take this action now, but that consumes your whole life, and it grows and it's exponential, like the amount of time and mind space it will take up. So yeah, totally with you on all that, and finding a habit or a routine or a place or a group of people, or like you said, just any opportunity you got to stop and be back in the moment and don't think about all that shit that's going to happen in the future.
Exactly. It's so important to try. It's about making those positive connections, because you're a version of the five people that you most associate with. So if you're around 5 positive people, thinking person around what you want to do and how you want to progress, these guys will start taking you on a journey. They will start and not dragging you, but just by having conversations, and you're hearing things around, I've kind of read 2 books, I've done that, I'm thinking of doing a TAFE course, I'm going to shift in my career and stuff like that. The byproduct of that, and we've seen it in some of the kind of groups, the men's group that I'm involved in, that capacity that's in a group, that you start to leverage off that, and you start to think, oh, that guy can help me out with that guy can help me write my resume, that guy can kind of help me do public speaking or something like that. So it's everywhere, and we haven't had to go out and search for this. These are just kind of friends that once you start digging below the periphery about kind of, what's your footy team, how's work and all that kind of stuff, about trying to find out what's really there, you start thinking, well, I didn't know, that you was kind of into doing that, or you was doing a Toastmasters thing or whatever, but when you start having these conversations, these things start coming out, because no longer do people think, well, that's a bit odd, can't really say that in front of people. Once you open up and you let all your kind of inhibitions around what's expected of a man and kind of how we should kind of act and carry ourselves, once we kind of start shedding some of that, it starts to kind of really kind of carry people, and people think, wow, I can really change the dynamics of my life, and all the stuff that you do around kind of guys and kind of building their businesses and kind of being more on the front foot. I would say to those guys is, look at your friendship group. How do they support you? And supporting you isn't about giving you the next time they want their house rewired and kind of or putting you on, or I said, I gave your mate your business card, he might give you a call back from work. It's about getting to a group and seeing how they can help you grow as a person first, because once you start kind of falling in love with yourself again, things change. You start feeling empowered to kind of do things. You may challenge yourself. You might start reading some books. You may start thinking about a TAFE course or a redirection. You may want to bring in someone to kind of run the company, and you take a retainer, but you want to focus on other things. So the company is there, you still got the input, but you can now kind of perhaps chase a passion, something that's always been there that people said, oh, well, you can't do that. You want to be a sailor. Well, whatever. I don't think we should ever inhibit ourselves, because the only thing I found is that it's the ability to do it. There's probably people far more qualified, far more expertise than me in my field, but I'm the one that could be bothered. And I'm the one that's motivated, driven by passion. And you can't buy passion. You can go and do what you do and be monotone. But the way you carry yourself, from the time I've been speaking with you, there's an energy about that, and that gets people wanting to be around you and invest with you, and kind of like, you've got to say. He was like, yeah, I'm Greg, you should just kind of, you're on the market yourself a bit better, and that's not going to help anyone, is it? If we're going to leave, we've got to show the best version of ourselves, so people think, how the hell does he do that? If I got 0.5% of what he's got, I can lift myself. So it's those simple things, not simple, but it's just that group of people that we can help. A village, it takes a village to raise a child, but I think it takes a village and a collection of good people to help each individual to kind of get to where they need to be.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's really good. Can you say, if we've got, just on that point of you are who you are, like you're an image of the closest 5 friends, for those people out there that they feel like they want to move forward and they feel like they want to grow their business and they feel like their friends are maybe holding them back. Have you got any advice around what people can do in that situation, what they should do?
Yeah, and the thing is, people get very comfortable, don't they, with their lot, as it were. You know, they get comfortable with kind of friendship groups. They get comfortable with kind of wearing the same shoes or going to the same places. And it's not until any of us go to, I don't know, Rome or somewhere and we see the pit or whatever, or we go to, Egypt and see the pyramids, and we're like blown away and we're like, oh my God, this is immense. Instead of going to, I don't know, Busselton every year or something. It's all about kind of experiences. And it's about kind of reaching out and start having those conversations with people, you know, kind of, we've got this great technology in computers and apps and stuff like that. It's about listening to stuff. It's about kind of Googling stuff and then kind of finding out, you know, because which we're going to later, we kind of started doing these men's health awareness events. And the offshoot of that is this group of guys that we now come meet up every fortnight for breakfast or whatever. And it's an open discussion around everything, you know, relationships and, you know, how we're feeling, mental health. But most importantly, the key component is that now we've got like, each of us have got like an accountability to each other now, like, and it's only small achievable things. Like my thing for this year is to read more books. I'm going to challenge myself. I want to read like 10 books this year. So now I've got to be accountable to these guys in my group. There's another guy that wants to go to Tatham and study some community service stuff. There's a guy that's a triathlon, and his thing is to try and beat his time. You know, there's another guy that wants to get fitter. So now he's in the gym twice a week. He's got the gym at home. So it's all these small things. But the guy that wanted to lose some weight through fitness, he hadn't come to a few. He hadn't come before, and he came to one. And he was speaking about his daughter that's in rehab and blah, blah, blah. And the next time I saw his wife, she was like, man, I don't know what you guys are talking about, but whatever you were doing, he came back kind of glowing. Because now he's got an ownership, he's got a sense of belonging. He can actually come along and kind of, there's no kind of like mental health. Oh, we don't speak about that.
Yeah.
We'll just have a beer.
Now
there's an open discussion about that. Yeah, I'll be all right. So it's just about that connection of people, and it could be women, it could be, you know, it could be like a 25-year-old that's kind of just a whiz at something. It's about having those conversations and just kind of trying to find out what is it that you want, what are your passions. Because if you want to be a pilot, you might not be a pilot. You know, if you all get to a later age, you may not going to be a pilot, but there might be the ability for you to work in an airport, so you see planes going over your head every day. You're in that environment, so it's something that you enjoy. So it's about trying to find what's your key drivers, developing a really good support network. And you only need 2 or 3. You don't need like 25, you know, because like I said, the biggest thing that stops us from doing anything is ourselves, firstly. And secondly, it's the associations that we keep, you know. It's far easy to oppress each other. You know, oh, you don't want to do that. You know, I think the change jobs. No, you don't do that. We can do that. Well, it's local. It's this. It's that. The other. The wife will say, well, you know, it's kind of blah blah blah. And then you're like, okay, I'll just stay and whatever.
Yeah.
You've got to challenge yourself. You've got to challenge. Like I said, the best version of yourself is the one that we should all be aiming for, and whatever that looks like. It's not all about kind of monetary. The investment in yourself and looking more broadly around kind of that association of good people that are going to tell you how it is and give you some really good advice. But it's that continuation of that advice and those stories. And you in turn are going to be able to share some of your good stuff with other people and potentially impact someone else's life. And that's, I think, the thing that we don't realise. We've all got something. We've all got something worthwhile that we can help in a collective.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like showing that interest in other people, like you're saying, everyone's got something to teach, and it doesn't matter where they come from, who they are, you know, what they look like, what they do for a job, anything. I live with the belief that anyone can teach me something I don't know. So, and whether it's just something about them, you know, I'm always interested in everyone I have a conversation with. And and through showing interest, I think that's what, life's all about. And a lot of people are very closed off and they don't show interest in other people. I think we could do a lot better there as a society, being open more, especially men, like you said. Like, we need to open up to ourselves particularly. And like when you said reflect, like I personally journal, especially when I'm really struggling with whatever it is I'm going through mentally. I'll journal my thoughts out. I can't just sit there and think about them. That's just me personally. So I'll write them out and I'll be like, oh shit, I didn't think that before, but yeah, it totally is. As I start writing, it just starts pouring out and I'm like, whoa, I'm upset about this random thing over here that's happening. I didn't even notice it. So that's that honesty with myself that allows me to get through those challenging times. And that's only something I learned when I was, 29 or something. So I went my whole life not knowing how to be truthful with myself, and then once you do that, you can open up with others.
But I think a lot of it is around the controllables as well, because every man needs dog are worrying about stuff that they can't control. And that is a hard habit to break, isn't it? Because we're all in the habit of getting into other people's business and getting involved in stuff and look at them over there and the dog's escaped or whatever it is. And we're kind of consumed by the controllables that we can't ever impact. And when we start kind of getting that mentality as well, that, that I can't affect that. Why am I wasting all this emotion? I'm getting everything invested into something that I can't possibly ever change. But the one thing you can change is your own mentality, and the journal is a great idea. There's so many different ways of self-development at the moment. There's kind of people say, I don't want to go and see a psych, I don't want to go and see this, I don't want to do this, I don't want to read. But there's so many ways. It's not just about the psych. Like I said, it comes back to a group as well. If you've got a good friendship group, there's nothing there to kind of help and assist and support you through a lot of the traumas that life can potentially bring. So it's just about being open, not ruling anything out, trying stuff, trying stuff. And, if you don't try, you don't know, do you? Like, there's a famous football player, I think it was Maradona or something. He said something like, he doesn't, you're going to miss 100% of the chances that you don't take. Yeah. So if you don't shoot a goal, you're never going to score.
Yeah.
It's who dares wins, isn't it? You've got to take an opportunity. You've got to take a chance in life. You've got, because we're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, that fear of failure infects a lot of people, but it's okay. It's okay, because that's when you learn, and those tough times is when you strategize, hopefully, around the problem, and then you build structure around that so it doesn't happen again, and that's what makes you a better person. So totally all about that, for sure. Great analogy with the footballer as well. So just before we finish up, I'd love to ask you about, what does your standard day look like in terms of routines? What do you feel it is? Have you formulated something that you feel really works for you that you could share on a daily basis?
It's different, because I'm at a school some of the time, so that's kind of consumes some mornings and some days there. But sometimes I'm kind of working over projects, but it's just about kind of, I think once you go on a journey and you kind of identify that's where you not need to be, but that is the thing that's going to empower you.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's going to not make you wish away a week. I no longer wake up thinking, it's Monday.
Yeah.
I don't have Mondays, I don't have Fridays. Every day is kind of like just a beautiful day now. There are some bumps and stuff in there, because that's just life. But when you can get up and you're not kind of frantic, rushing around, you're worrying about, oh crap, I haven't done that today, and it's kind of, and you simplify stuff, and it's on your terms, as it were. So I always come back to, it's about those decisions. It's about your decisions, and regardless of age, it's about when you start going on a journey, and regardless of what it is, if you want to put in, it could be something like, you want to improve your Facebook profile for your business or your Instagram. It could be, if you get ownership of that and then you start posting, updating every day or something, that could be the start of something. So it's a real investment in yourself, because the beautiful things that happen after that, it starts with making that first decision. Because you can't just suddenly wake up and think, right, now I'm going to change my life, I'm going to be this person, if you've still got to go to a job that you're not enjoying. Or if you've still got staff that are unmotivated and you're having to kind of deal with complaints constantly. It's about how do you change that dynamic, and it starts with you, you know. And I think health and well-being is at the forefront of everything that I believe in. You know, I mean, it's moderation of diet, drink, exercise is important. Clear and honest thoughts, you know, and kind of being honest with yourself and your friends, and from there it's a journey, and it starts to move forward, and before long people are knocking on your door asking you to do stuff, because the energy that you start to put out by mere fact that your dynamic and your attitude has changed, people warm to that. We all want to be around people who are kind of happy. You know, no one wants to be around someone that's kind of sad. You know, we're born into love, and we're born with our parents looking down, smiling at us. Obviously you can't remember when you're a baby, but every time you hold your kids, I've held my kids when they were young, you smile. You know, this other side of anger and upset comes through life and comes through just experiences and stuff that we have to deal with. But we are born happy people. So it's a case of how can we get back a piece of that?
Yeah, awesome. What advice would you give to your younger self?
Yeah, my younger self, it would be just to keep the faith.
Yeah.
Keep the faith, keep the belief that there will be a better day, you know, because there were some dark times as in, I'm never going to amount to anything, I'm never going to achieve, I'm just going to go from job to job. But like I said, from that, just taking opportunities, taking a chance, it's just amazing what happens when you take a chance on yourself. You know, I've got no God-given right to anything. None of us have. But it's just about, and everyone will get an opportunity in life. Lots of them. Like, you know, that you'll get offered something to do something, and you can say yes or no. You know, every single day we make over, as human beings, we make over 2,000 decisions, from putting on your socks, choosing your socks, to turn left, turn right, kind of cereal or this or whatever. Over 2,000 every single day. Minute ones, but they are decisions. And how many of those are geared towards moving you into a place where you're going to be smiling a lot more?
Awesome.
Having a pint at the end of the day, perhaps,
yeah.
or something like having a pint, having a steak, or those are just the normality. But I'm talking about the stuff that's really going to start kind of you sprinting instead of walking.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. I love so much that you've said today, and really appreciate your time, Colin. Is there anything else that you want to share before we get off, whether it's about 11 Consulting or just a personal tip to anyone listening?
Yeah, I think my thing is that self-value, you know, for all the guys out there that have got kind of small to medium businesses or larger business, no matter how many guys you employ, they are the face of your company, and they can generate the next phase of business. They can help you gain those contracts and keep those contracts and kind of keep your customers happy, because as human beings, the negative always outweighs the positive. So your phone will be ringing off the hook with someone's left something on, or they've left this, they haven't done that, they haven't isolated this properly or something. But it's very rare that you get an inbound of kind of, your guys were on site today, they were amazing, they cleaned up after themselves, they did this, that, the other, they were polite, they asked if we needed anything else while we were there. You know, they called back 2 days later, and it's stuff like that. Calling up 2 days after you've finished an install, whatever you've done, and saying, hi, I was an installer, just checking that you're happy with everything, and, you know, everything works, and blah, blah, blah. You know, all the small things, because generally we pack the tools, we're off to the other job, and we've forgotten about the last customer. Check in with them.
Yeah. Check
in, and you're not selling them anything. All you're saying is, it's John for them, CNA electricians. I was there on site two days ago. Just want to make sure that everything's happy and you're happy with everything, and blah, blah, blah. It's just kind of a courtesy call that we give to all our clients, and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, okay, yeah, thanks. That resonates with people. Think outside of the box. Don't limit yourself in your industry. Because like I said, if you was an architect or a kind of in marketing, there's all this kind of cool stuff around it. Why can't we make these industries cool and exciting and people kind of excited to go to work? Utilize other industries, utilize marketing, utilize social media, use everything. Most importantly, use yourself as that vehicle to change, because that is the thing. And you're going to be the face of the company or whatever. You've got to be the guy that's going to knock on doors and don't take that. Find a way in.
Awesome. Thanks so much. How can people get in touch with you, Colin, if they want to reach out, say thanks for this, or talk about 11 Consulting with you?
Yeah, 11. We've got a website. It's 11consulting.com.au. So we're on there on Instagram and stuff like that. So it's 11consulting.com.au, and I can give you. You've got my contact details, so I'm more than happy for people to come through you.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Appreciate your time. Thanks for sharing your experience and all the way back to your childhood. And I think it's got so much power and so many good messages in there. So I really appreciate your time, Colin. Thanks so much.
No worries.
Have a good one.
Cheers, Greg.
Bye.